The Pinball Network is online. Launching.
Triple Drain Pinball Podcast.
All right, Tom, you ready?
Where's that damn button? Oh, there it is.
What? Oh, you're supposed to use. Okay, yeah. Travis, you ready?
I am.
Who you texting right now?
I'm trying to make my phone go on airplane mode so
Poor
it makes
cool.
my voice sound better.
What a great intro. Here we go.
We're three guys who like to talk pinball, so we came up with a clever name. We're Joel and Travis Scott who talk pinball, and we call ourselves Triple Drain, Triple Drain, Triple Drain. We're Triple Drain.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name's Joel. We already did our introductions. You don't need to hear it again. Yeah. Hello, guys. How's everyone doing? Episode 10.
We did it, Joel. We did it.
Doing good.
Yeah. No, episode 10. I know we already hit, the major landmark, which was episode 5. Appreciate all those emails and just the flood of pats on the back and everything. So, no reason to celebrate episode 10, but it is we're in double digits now. So that's I don't know. I'm excited about that. I think we're killing it. One few weeks at a time. We have no schedule. What are we doing? We're just I don't know.
We're just three guys that like to play pinball
and talk pinball. Yeah, we basically just wait until Tom's like, when's the next podcast? Because I think it's Tom. I think he builds and builds and builds, and he's ready to burst. He just can't go more than 3 weeks without talking about pinball.
I say stuff.
Yeah. Well,
that's fair.
No extra ball. Well, yeah, no extra ball this week. We decided just to have a week of catch up, and there's plenty to catch up on. Believe it or not, I know it seems like we're kind of in a pinball news drought. I mean, we're in this weird in between now and the end of the year, and really the only thing that's going to happen between now and the end of the year is Stern's probably going to release another game. But
Rush.
There's plenty to talk about between now and then. One thing that happened shortly after we recorded last was the two of you fools got on airplanes and flew to Florida. You both went to Free Play Florida because you're addicted to Whoppers. Yeah, tell us all about that. Tom, you go first.
The addiction is real, Joel.
Well, here's your transition. Speaking of addiction, Travis, you have an interesting story of the flight on the way to Free Play Florida.
That's how we're going to transition?
Hey, the transitions are natural. They come how they come.
You might as well.
Speaking of which, Travis, let's hear about your
you
experience.
You can tell
of the
your
flight
story,
there.
and I'll tell mine.
All right, so I'll just keep this short. If you guys listened to the last podcast and you got to the very end of it, Din told us about, what was it? Some type of game that was an adult game that was a Kickstarter or something like that.
Adult VR game. Yep.
Yes, right. I think it's like a full-on adult VR game. Like we're talking procreation with ligers and elves. I don't know. I don't know what bullshit this game has.
It was in the pornographic genre is what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out how real this was at the end of our podcast, and I was looking at it on my iPad, verifying that we weren't having the piss taken out of us. My problem is that was the last time I had my iPad prior to going on the flight. And so, like somebody on a plane that wants to be entertained, I open up my iPad because I'm like, oh, I'm going to study my notes going down there. I'm going to review our rule sets and all that. And I open it up, and right there, just full frontal on my iPad Pro is this damn game with everything right there. And I just mortified the person next to me, mortified myself. I thought I was going to get kicked off.
So
I was so embarrassed.
Are you aisle seat, middle seat? Where were you at?
So what made this even worse, I was in an aisle seat.
Okay.
Right. I don't know who saw it behind me, and I don't know who saw it besides me. I know who saw it next to me because the person next to me was taking up half of my chair. So he was going to see it either way. Yeah, it wasn't a pleasant flight. We got to know each other very well. I should have just owned it. Now I think about it. As soon as he looked at it, I should have just looked at him looked at him dead in the eye and just nodded my head.
Yeah.
And then
You
just
heard
gone
him,
back to what I was doing. Yeah.
Just waited for a thumbs up or something. But geez, that's
I'm pretty sure the person I was sitting next to probably was the top contributor to this game. So
oh boy.
I don't know. He was probably a happy camper with what he saw, but I was still embarrassed though. It takes a lot to embarrass me, but I have to draw the line at pornographic VR games that Dennis Kriesel tells me about
on your iPad on an airplane. And then it was the best part. It was the beginning of the flight too. So the guy had to sit next to you.
Yeah, we were
for the whole flight.
Yeah, we were just taking off, and everybody's probably looking at me like, "Wow, this guy, this guy right here." Yeah, yeah.
Well,
and little did they know. Yeah, I just wanted to review over pinball rule sets and
yeah.
Lesson learned: people always check your internet and always check your iPad browsers.
So what is it? They glance over and see your notes, and they see what, like soft plunge and.
It's actually it's pretty hilarious. Whenever when I'm on the road, I always have pinball videos up just so I can remind myself of what I'm seeing, kind of like draw out a plan.
Okay.
And I'll always put it on my iPad and I'll set it in front of me. And everybody always stares at it. They'll stop what they're doing. And I swear, more times than not, I'll get somebody saying, I didn't even know pinball was still around. Or, oh, I didn't even know that this was a thing. I mean, that's the cool part. You see a lot of people that aren't familiar with it. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes I accidentally show off VR porn games, and other times I spread the joy of pinball around to people.
Yeah, it's kind of,
How would you rate the game, Travis?
It leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah. They didn't have all the animal types that you were hoping for.
The demo did not work out so well. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm good.
So what's sad is I said, hey, Travis, I'm going to bring up your airplane story on the podcast. And Travis goes, well, if I have to share my story, Tom has to share his. So Tom, I don't even know yours. What is going on with you two?
So
his is worst.
Oh, no.
Before we left for Florida, I had downloaded a show off of Netflix. And I remember saying to Travis, like, I don't even know what's on my iPad. Like, I just know I downloaded a show for the plane. So it ended up being The Witcher.
Oh.
And have you seen it?
It's a good show. It's a great show.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely there's some very brutal murder and some, some skin. For sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of skin, a lot of fighting.
A lot of dangling skin. Let's put it that way.
Yes. So, like, literally, I'm sitting there watching, minding my own business in the aisle, and all of a sudden, there's this 5-year-old or 6-year-old girl right next to me, waiting in line to go to the bathroom.
So much worse than mine. We're going down a dark path right now.
And, there's all this, like, just this. Luckily, it wasn't a skin part of the show, but there was some pretty gory battle going on. Yeah, it's
her eyes lit up.
I was a little embarrassed by that. I had to kind of turn it away. So
wow,
but,
well done.
Yeah, luckily, Mom wasn't looking at the iPad at the time.
How dare you? Yeah. So what the lesson of the moral of the story for both of you guys, right? Is anybody that's listening to this podcast, just before you get on a plane, look at what's on your iPad before you turn it on. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know. I'm proud to call you guys podcasting partners. Way to be. Yeah. Well done, guys.
Dang right.
So that's your flight there. Both of you almost got kicked off, and then you get to Free Play Florida. So we're going right into tournament talk. This is I know some people probably fast forward this. Other people, this is what they love to eat up. But you guys were all in for those Whoppers. So yeah. So why don't you take it away? Tell me about your few days in Florida.
Well, I'll tell you about our few days in Florida. Where do we start at? Tom, where do you think we should start?
Try the beginning.
Jeff Teal is getting butter spilled on him at Red Lobster.
That was hilarious.
There's a good spot to start. Yeah.
Apparently, Canadians cannot handle their butter at seafood restaurants. That was a sight to be seen.
And that was Free Play Florida. All right, what was our next stuff?
Well, we could start with classics.
How many tournaments? How many tournaments were there?
There's 2 tournaments. There's a classics tournament and a main tournament.
Technically, there are 4
tournaments.
But we participated in
Got
2.
it. Okay, so
There's
this is
also a women's tournament, which clearly we
Right.
cannot compete in.
clearly
Right.
Yeah. This is
And
no
then-
Super Series with 6 tournaments. This is
No,
just
and
2.
then there was a strikes tournament for all the losers to play in, and that's what Teolis won the losers tournament.
Ah, gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
why he
So
showed
gr-
up. Okay.
Yeah, so great job there, Jeff. They so they had a main, a classics, and then during main finals, for those that didn't make main finals, they had a strikes tournament going on at the same time. I think it was like a 3 strikes tournament or something like that.
Yep.
Gotcha. And so, once again, for anybody new listening, classics are typically it's defined what? Everything pre DMD.
Yeah.
Typically, yes.
Typically.
So pre DMD dot matrix display. Any game before that, not EMs count in classics, right?
Oh,
For sure.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Where else would you have them at, Joel?
I don't know EMs. I mean, they have their own category on Pinside. Just who cares, right? I mean, that's
The EM tournament.
yeah, the EM tournament. Yeah. So classics tournament, and then everything DMD and modern all the way up to modern. So what was the most modern game you played? Was there Godzilla? Then I mean, is that the latest game?
Are you talking about the most modern game in classics or
No,
the most
in
modern
modern.
game in main?
in Maine? Is that what it's called? Yes.
I guess.
Turtles?
Yeah, it'd be Turtles.
Oh, great.
Turtles
I'll
and
go-
then a close Deadpool.
Okay. All right. So classics. It was which was first? Classics, I assume.
Well,
Correct.
they
Ish.
run simultaneously for qualifying, but classics gets done sooner, and then they have the finals or the playoffs going on towards the end of qualifying for Maine.
Got it. Okay.
And it's a pump and dump too. So you're basically just playing a single player game, trying to get the highest score possible on the game with a allotted amount of time. Is what it
Okay.
is.
So you could play and play and play and play and play. It just
Yeah.
You're
If you
just-
wanted to,
Yeah,
you
if
could
you
buy
have
as
the, if
many
you have
that
the
you want.
bankroll, you can
Well, how
go
much-
at it.
how much does it cost to play the game?
It was $20 for 7 plays. So
Oh, okay. So we're not talking. It's not like $1 a play. It costs money.
No, this is pro pinball.
This
We-
is
we
why
don't
I'm
mess
asking the
around.
questions. You know.
I think it's pro pinball. Is that what they call it,
Yeah.
Tom? I don't even know.
I don't think
It's
so.
like it's a vacation. But yeah, it's the more expensive tournament though, because it is. I mean, 7 plays for $20, you have to make them count.
So how many
Mm.
plays did you do, Travis?
So I made the mistake early on. I got in line and I just decided I did not want to get in line anymore, and I wasn't thinking. And I bought $160 worth of
What?
entries
What?
at front. What? Yeah, 160.
Say what?
Well, because usually what I like to do is I like to qualify as quickly as possible.
Can you go
And
ahead and
then
do the
I like
math
to
for us real quick and tell us how many entries that is?
Uh,
Oklahoma math people. Here we
it,
go.
it was a lot.
A lot. Good answer.
How many?
Yep.
How many was that? 7,
160, 20.
5, 6.
Yeah.
I think it was like 40 something, right?
Isn't it 8 times 7?
56?
56?
Is that what
Yeah.
it was? It was legitimately. It was about 40 too many. Like I made a
42.
I made a boo boo. I made a big boo boo.
And let me guess, you can't ask for a refund on those?
Nope.
Okay. Nice job.
No, so here's what's hilarious about it. I usually never do that. I only get about $40 starting out, and then I judge. But right here, I just decided I didn't want to mess with it. And I just went ahead and just paid it up front. And I'm like, this is going to be a couple of days. It'll be fine. And yeah, all of a sudden, I played about 20 entries, and I realized, well, I'm qualified for both. I don't think I'm going to drop too much. What do I do now? So yeah, I effed that up.
Sorry, but how do you okay, so pump and dump, right? So let's say you said there's a Turtles there. Well, if every single person plays Turtles, let's say, Travis, you play Turtles, you put up a score you're proud of, you think's high. Theoretically, people could continually put up higher scores than that, right? At any moment. And then could you ever get kicked out of qualifications, or they like set a score that you have to hit to qualify? How does that work?
No, we're all playing against each other. So I think the scoring was at 100, 97, 95. I can't remember what the decay was.
I think it was
But-
98, 96.
Was
But
it?
you could be,
yeah.
let me look
yeah,
it
you're
up.
right.
I'll
But
look at it.
but your position of qualifying could change at any moment if people.
Yeah, it's going to be dynamic.
Yeah. But you
Right.
said you played
The whole
20
time.
games. You're like, I've already qualified, and you're saying already after 20 games, you're confident enough that your score on those 20 games is high enough to keep you where you want to be, or you're good enough. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I accidentally overestimated or underestimated myself. I think I did both at the same time. I don't know.
Life is hard, Travis.
Joel, here's what I blame. I had a couple of beers with Tom before we walked in there. And that's what I blame.
So,
Tom, I didn't have
how-
any beers.
Yeah.
I had a couple of beers.
So
Excuse me.
Tom. How many entries did you buy?
Probably. I didn't even count, but over $200 worth.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that's the norm.
I didn't see. This is new to me. Okay, so that's a lot of pinball though. How many
not
days?
Keith Elwyn, Joel. We
Yeah,
can't just
but
walk in
the other
there.
week you're bragging
There's
about
20
yeah.
bucks. I'm done. See ya.
You're bragging about 45-minute games, and we keep giving you a hard time for that. So, but you're saying, Travis, you bought 100. What did you just say? $160 worth of pinball, and
Correct.
you were happy after 20 games.
Correct.
And Tom just said he paid over $200 worth of pinball.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of game. I mean, I don't know. It's just what's your time span here? Because I know what was it at Expo, the tournament there. If you entered the tournament, you had 12 games. I think it was 12. Yeah, you could play 12 times. That was it. And you had to enter in 6 of the scores. It was something like that? So I always thought you had like less than 20 attempts to do something, but you're saying this pump and dump.
Right,
is just
but that's
go
a
to
limiter,
town.
Herb. Yeah, so to be honest with you, I ended up I played all 56 of what I had, but legitimately I didn't really have to use my plays until the very end, because I did need to use it for main in order to go from, I got knocked out of the bye, so I was like 9th, and I had to play a couple last second to qualify to get a bye for playoffs. So I still ended up using my full 56, but in all reality, I probably could have stopped around 30 or so.
Wow.
Which,
okay.
looking back on it, knowing what happened during finals in terms of how the bus driver worked, I probably would have stopped. Knowing now, and I mean, we could talk about that in a few, but yeah, I mean, that's
Okay.
typically
I'm learning something.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that do over 100 entries. I mean, I know somebody down there that they spent $280 on entries.
And I hope they qualified.
I don't think they did.
Nope. Okay.
I don't think they did. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's this ongoing theory with a lot of people that aren't too familiar with pump and dumps that you can just buy your way into finals. And so that could be true for maybe 1 to 3 people, but legitimately, the majority of the time, the people that make finals at these things, they're legitimate pinball players. They can play pretty well. And it's a lot of jockeying for position. It's a lot of trying to get buys when you have 24 players and you want to be in that top 8, because you don't want to be in that last 16, because that basically guarantees you more points and a better opportunity to make or to go further in the tournament.
So you said you used all your plays. So you said you had qualified, but you realized you were right on the cusp of top 8. So you went ahead and played more to push yourself up there so you could get a bye.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky. I actually had the very last play of the entire time in main qualifying, and I got in with like 20 seconds left on Beatles before it was going to be done. I ended up putting up like 7.5 million or something like that to get second place on the game, and that took me up to tied for first.
Wow.
In
okay.
Maine. Yeah.
So fill me on who's. So obviously we know. I mean, both of you guys qualified for both tournaments, right? And then Neil, I'm assuming Tom, your son was there. So who qualified?
I'm Neil's
where?
dad.
Well, true. Yeah, of course. So Neil really brought you. So who ended up where? And who else do we know? Like who people on the show? Was Raymond there? Raymond Davidson, was he there?
No, he was at Pentastic.
He was too scared to come down to
Too
free
scared.
play. Yeah, he went up to Pentastic. Yeah.
Yeah, you know
Ray
he's
knew
sitting at his
better.
computer right now going, what?
Right, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Did I just hear that?
Yeah.
No, we were split up because Pentastic had an event going on at the same time, and they're typically a large event also up in Massachusetts. So
Gotcha.
most of the New England players, I say most, I think they all pretty much stayed up there, and then there was a lot of players from that region. Whereas down in free play, there was a lot of players from down there, and then a few of us spread out because there's a few California players that came out also. So I mean,
So like Carl D'Angelo. I'm trying to think of people that have
no,
been
he
on.
didn't show up. Derek Price did.
Okay. And then the
Yeah.
weatherman, Eric
Johnny
Stone, is that his
Modica?
name?
Yeah, Johnny was there. Stone did not play. He had to work, but he showed up every now and again though
Okay.
Yeah.
when he could, hanging out.
All right.
But Andy Rosa was there. Steve Bowden.
He has a son. Andy Rose has a son.
Bob
Andy
Yeah,
Rose
but-
Jr., right?
Matthews,
Yeah, Little Rosa was not there though. Yeah, Bob Matthews.
Steve
Jeff
Bowden, okay.
Teolis.
Who else?
Jeff
yeah,
Teolis from Canada. Now that they let him in, he just never wants to go home, is what it
I
sounds
know.
like.
He's everywhere.
yeah.
Who else
So,
was
I mean,
there?
good turnout,
Bill,
though.
I mean,
Bill
this is-
Mason
yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Alex Harmon. So I mean, yeah, there were some excellent players. Fred Richardson, he
Fred
was there,
Richardson.
and of course, there's some good ones too down in Florida. I think there's Sebastian Bobbio. He was a good player.
Yes.
Well,
Shannon Stafford.
you
got,
said you tied
Jeff,
for first,
Jeff
so I just
Palmer's
assumed
another
you
good
know,
one.
yeah.
You tied for first. I just assumed the turnout was kind of slim or something. But what do I
I bought
know?
my way into
Yeah.
finals. That's what it was.
Oh,
So-
Nick Mueller as well.
yeah, Nick Mueller. Yep.
So you get in, so you qualify. So we don't have to go game by game or anything, but
Let's
it's
go
just
game
like
by game.
We can
just kidding.
we can talk about classics if you want to, because there's somebody on
Yeah.
this podcast that's a total asshole, and I don't want to name names or anything.
The one time
yeah.
I beat Travis, I'm an asshole.
Well, let's hear it. What happened? Where were you? What place are you fighting for? What game are you playing?
I'll let
Set the stage,
Neil's
Tom.
dad. I'll let Neil's dad tell the story,
Okay.
and then I'll interject
Yeah.
when I realize that
Yeah.
he's off in the woods.
So I was tied for 10th place, Joel, with
Okay.
five other people. And
Got
we
it.
had a playoff on this game called Freedom, which is a EM game. But anyways, I ended up taking last on that tiebreaker. And that put me in with Travis's group.
Okay.
So in the first round, we'll go game by game real quick.
But
So
wait, that put you in Travis. So Travis was above you? in that?
Travis qualified tied for second with Neil, and he lost his tiebreaker to Neil on a game called Cosmos.
Right. We
More
played
about that later.
Cosmos. Yeah, we played Cosmos, and we were just kind of fooling around because we're like, okay, we're already running late. Classics was about
Yeah.
45 minutes behind at this point.
Yes.
We had to do a tiebreaker. So Neil and I were like, let's just do the quickest game possible. I had choice since I won the coin flip. So I picked Cosmos because I'm like, I could either be an a-hole, we could do Swords of Fury, and him and I can play for an hour straight and just hold up the whole thing, or we can go as quick as possible. What I didn't know is apparently there was a 5-way dogfight on Freedom at the same time, and we ended up having to wait another 30 minutes anyways. But yes, I ended up
Nice.
losing to Nil on a tiebreaker, so that dropped me down to the third seed overall.
So third place, but you're saying because Tom lost, he like the way the seeds worked out, it was supposed to be low ranked Tom versus high ranked Travis.
Right,
correct?
because it was 3, 6, 11, 14 on the
Got it.
seeds, and so little old Tom Graf was the 14th seed
Little old Tom.
in our
Graf.
in,
Okay.
in our group.
That's
Got it.
me.
Yep. All right. So tell me what happened, Tom.
Okay. So Travis had first pick. So he picked the game Vector.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And Travis, he's talking smack. He's like, I am going to kick your ass on this game.
I told him you might as well just leave the room. I'm gonna put up like 2 billion.
Vector's
And-
the game that tracks your speed, right? Or like how many. Isn't there
So-
a display on the game
so
that does
there's-
something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, I'd say, all left ramp. But there's these drop targets that block the left ramp. And if you get up the left ramp, you'll lock a ball. And you want to lock 3 balls, start multi-ball. But
Got
you
it.
can also spell hype in the middle of the play field, and that'll release balls.
Hype?
But you have to hit them in order. You have to spell hype in order from,
Gotcha.
left to
And
right.
the drop targets, you want to drop them down in sequential order too. Otherwise, another drop target bank will lift up even closer to your flippers in front of the left ramp.
Yes.
So I've always heard this game kind of sucks, but this I don't know. It sounds kind of cool.
It's
it
a cool
does.
game.
It sucks.
It's a
No,
cool
it
game.
sucks.
It's
No,
a cool game.
Neil's dad, no, it sucks. It's a horrible game. I don't know
picked
why
it.
I picked
You
it.
picked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
But here's why I picked it though. Before we go on, I
Okay.
picked it because Group 1 picked Pharaoh. which would have been one of my picks. And then group
Yes.
2, Neil picked Swords of Fury, which would have been one of my picks.
Yes.
So I was just like, crap, I don't want to play 8-ball.
How many
No.
games
Crap,
are
That
how many
8
games
ball
were
was
there?
evil.
Yeah. There was 6, I think.
Oh, that's it? There's only
7?
6 games
6
in
or
the first
7.
tournament?
Yeah, there's never many in classics. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
wow.
usually only top 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my choices were pretty slim.
So you picked
At that
Vector,
point.
and you're
Yeah,
ready
so I was
to
like, yeah, let's-
annihilate Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's hear
Go
how it
ahead,
all
go
came
ahead, Neil's
apart.
dad. Proceed.
Well, to make a long story short, Travis ended up taking last on the game, and I took first.
Well done.
Thanks.
Yes, it was a great game.
Purely
had-
based on
I
skill,
had
I
over a
assume.
million, which I did not even have during qualifying. But Travis did set me up for some balls locked and everything. So
Oh,
Yeah.
so there's like a
Yeah, it's lock stealing.
There's
oh,
lock
yes,
yeah.
yes, Joel.
Yeah.
Yes, and everybody had fun stealing my balls continuously all game long.
This game, I may have to
Thank
look
you
into
to
this game.
Sebastian, Eric, and Neil's dad for that. I
That's
appreciate
awesome.
it, guys.
My wife
Yeah.
loves TNA just because of the lock stealing, so maybe I need to look for more games that have this. But
Hmm.
so okay, so you picked Vector, poor decision. So what did that do? So you were the 3rd seed. You just lost to the 14th seed, right? Did it kick you out?
well, it's
No,
three.
this
three
is where it got
games.
weird. It got weird
it's
right
3
here.
games
Yeah.
around, and the way they had the whole tournament structured was that the person that took last got first pick of either their game or position, and then it went from 4th person to 3rd person to 2nd person to 1st person.
Uh-huh.
So this was a weird scenario. So we're all thinking Travis is going to pick the game. Well, he picks his position, and then the next person picks their position, and then the next person picked their position. So I was standing there like, well, I'm going first, and I get to pick the game. So I decided, which wasn't a popular decision, to pick Swords of Fury.
You can't pick Vector again, right?
No, you can't pick the
Got
same
it.
game in the same round again.
Got it. Okay.
So I picked Swords of Fury, which was the longest playing game in the entire 4 tournaments that were going on there.
Okay. All right.
Joel, do you know how to play Swords of Fury?
Not
You-
competitively, no. I don't.
You
I
know,
know.
even casually, do you know the strategy?
Isn't it you? It's all multi-ball, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like left orbit
Yep.
until
To
you
lock
go
it.
blind or you get a cramp and you can't flip any longer.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Now there
So-
were people rolling this game during qualifying. Like
Wow. And correct me if this is a dumb question, but like you can't, if in qualification they realize like, wow, this is way too long. They can't just between qualifying and main play, they can't like remove a post or do something to make the game harder.
So you could during like after qualifying is over, you could do something to it
Okay.
before the playoffs start.
Uh-huh.
I guess you could technically do that, but it wasn't done. Let's put it that
Okay.
way.
All right. All right.
And they could have removed it too from final.
That's true too.
And that was, I told Tom as soon as he picked it, I said, my goal is to make sure this game does not get played for the rest of the night.
And he failed at his goal, but
Yeah.
you
so
did
you tell
do
Tom
well
that.
on the game.
My game is
Travis-
for this not to get picked, and Tom picks it.
You did win it, correct?
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
8.1 or 8.2 million after 2 balls.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't-
I
I didn't have
ended
to
up
play my third
having
ball.
I ended up having the worst game on it because I think I played it twice, maybe 3 times during qualifying, and I had pretty good games. But yeah, I didn't have one during the playoffs.
Okay.
So, but I ended up taking last, and actually our group, I think we were all at 3 after the 2 games. So we're all
So it's
tied.
basically a wash. Yeah. At that point. Yeah.
Yep. First 2 games are a wash. Now I took last on that game, so I had pick, and this is where Travis will hate me for the rest of my life.
See, this is where the crazy shit happens, Joel.
Wait, how did you get
Exactly.
How did you get
Thank you.
pick?
Even Joel's like, what? So the way that they did this, it was driving me crazy because I didn't realize they were going to do this until I was down there. So the way that they had this is that even if you're a bus driver, meaning you were the top seed in your group,
Yeah.
you were only the bus driver for the very first game. And then every game after that, it was decided in reverse order. So you basically, if you took last, you got choice of game or position on the next game. So the way it panned out is we all got put in a position to where we're all tied up, yet the one that got to decide our fate was old Nils' dad, the 14 seed. And he got to decide the final game. And I knew that this was going to happen.
I was just playing by the rules. You can't hold
I know.
it against me.
It is what it is. That was the rules. That was the rules. But we were all talking about, we were like, son of a... Like, we all knew something like this was going to happen.
But I agree with Travis. That is not how it should be.
No, well, in a herb, you should let the bus driver be the bus driver. The only time that works to where, if you're a tournament director out there and you're thinking about running something like this, the only time that this really works, in my opinion, is if you're picking a full bank of games, of 3 or 4 games. So at Pinburg, they would do that to where the bus driver would pick the bank and they would have choice of position the very first game. And then after that, it would be reverse order finish, getting to choose the position.
Right.
And so that makes sense because all the games are already picked out by the bus driver. But with this, it basically made it to where your qualifying really didn't mean anything. So even if you were the top seed in your group, you got that first pick. But then after that, it's just you're leaving your fate up to whoever decides to pick what for the next game.
Interesting. Okay.
And
So-
that game
In the next game, yes.
was Cosmos.
And if you don't know what Cosmos is, go ahead right now, look it up on Google, Cosmos Pinball, and now you see what type of a-hole I'm dealing with here.
So what was your thought process there, Tom, picking Cosmos?
The reason I picked it was because I was number 3 in qualifying on it. And I felt really good on that game. And
He's very good at using little flippers.
Yes. Yes. And
Very
and
familiar
there's
at District 82
and
with
there's
them.
zipper flippers, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So,
But-
judging by your tone, I think Tom did well at this, and Travis, you did not.
Tom annihilated it. He had, I think, 1,200 points after ball 1 or somewhere right around there,
something like that.
which
Well,
is just
the
absolutely
funniest
outstanding.
The funniest thing was everybody came up to us before we started our game, Teolis, Andy Rosa, and they're like, who the hell picked this game? And I'm like, right here,
Yep.
right here.
Well done. And it paid off for you. So,
It did pay off. Didn't
So
pay off in the
everybody's
second
even.
round, but it paid off.
but everybody was even at 3. And how did we end up then? Did that kick you out, Travis?
Well, so what happened in the game, I actually don't have anybody to blame but myself because I was down at one point by about 1,000, I think, to player. I say player
I think
2
it was,
is to
it was
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Right. Because I had about 300 or 400 points my first ball. I think he had like 600 or 700, and he built up a pretty good lead. And so I had to grind my way back. I had a good ball 3, I think. But what I messed up on, the way that it worked is you hit one of the mushroom targets and it would light a saucer collect up top, which is basically, if you're thinking of it like a clock, it's at 11 p.m., basically, somewhere up there, up in the upper corner. And it's hard to hit, but I had an opportunity to hit it 3 or 4 times and I just could not get control. I couldn't get it. And I mean, that one shot right there would have been enough to get me over the top because I think I ended up losing second place by
It wasn't
88
a lot.
points. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
88 points total.
Wow.
So I think second place had 2,300 even, and I had 2212 looking at it, and Tom had 2812. So no one to blame but me and a little bit of Tom, but mostly me.
So what does that mean? Does that mean you're out? You're kicked out? Or how does...
Yes, Joel.
His
I
classics
was out.
tournament is done.
Yep. I was done. I was 11th place. I'm so Joel. Here's the thing. In classics, I've gotten to where I can qualify high. I did this at Clepen to where I was the 1 seed overall there. But yet, for whatever reason, I think 5 straight classics tournaments, I've been eliminated in the first round or in my first round, even after a bye. So if you want a guaranteed win, just be in my group for classics and you'll pretty much get through because
Well
I
done.
find ways to blow it up. Yeah,
Well
it's
done.
great.
So where?
Thank you.
So 11th place. So I'm assuming no money for you.
No, I think I got 75 or 85, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
how many
it wasn't
people,
bad.
How many people were in that tournament?
120
Oh wow. Okay.
something,
Still okay.
125. I don't know.
So
Classics usually has a pretty good amount.
There was
Might have
only
been 105.
there was only 90 in the classics.
Oh, real? Oh, I'm thinking
But the-
main. Never
yeah,
mind.
the main
Sorry.
was there.
Yep.
There was more.
So Tom,
You're right.
where did you and Neil end up in the tournament?
So I wasn't in Neil's group. I was in Andy Rosa and Sebastian's group. They ended up beating me and moving on. The funny thing was the whole thing was streamed and like I played terrible. So I got eliminated. Neil was playing phenomenal. And he ended up in the finals. It was Andy Rosa, Sebastian, and Alex Marino. And Neil and Alex were tied for first after the 3 games and finals. And then Neil had pick, and he picked Swords of Fury at what, 1 o'clock in the morning, Travis?
It was late, but hey, I had 2 beers in my hand, so I was all for it.
And then Neil crushed Swords of Fury, and the rest is history. He
won
ended up winning classics.
And it was like his birthday, wasn't it?
It was his birthday. Well, technically
wow.
not at that time, but
Still.
the day of, it was.
That's fantastic.
So he was totally on a high from that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, congrats to Neil. Maybe we once again should get him on the podcast, but too busy apparently. So
he's a classics winner. He can't waste his time here.
All right, so that's classics. So modern then were you a little more successful there, Travis, in modern?
Oh yeah, I got back at Neil's dad.
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
It was like Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back. Again, Travis and I played another series in the playoffs.
And who picked what, and what was the outcome?
Well, I'm trying to remember. So, Tom, you had, I forget, did you have a bye or did you have to play in the first round?
No, I had to play in the first round.
Okay. So, what games did you have to play? Obviously, you won.
I won my Turtles game. I came in third on TNA, and then I won my Beatles game.
Okay, I remember that.
That was the
now.
one
Yeah.
I came back on ball 3.
Right, exactly. Okay, yeah, that was a good game. And then, so we ended up being matched up in quarterfinals, and I think it was Johnny. Is it Kaylee?
Kaylee.
Is that how you pronounce it? Kaylee?
Kaylee
and
Campbell.
then, Kaylee Campbell from North Carolina,
Yes.
I believe. I think that's where she's from.
Yep.
And then, of course, Neil's dad. So
Mhm.
so we
That's true.
played. What did we play? We played Beatles.
You picked
and I
Beatles.
got to pick that. And I had a really good ball 1. I had like 3.8 million or something like that. And then ball 2 and 3, I just forgot how to play pinball completely and ended with 4.9. But somehow that held up with
You gotta
everybody
watch
breathing
those,
down my neck.
You got to watch those iPad videos between rounds so you don't forget.
Well, funny story. So I was asking a couple of people, I was like, hey, what's the line on this game? Because I didn't know the rule set really that well. I'd only played it a couple of times up until free play. And so I asked Ray, I'm like, hey, what's a good way to get a lot of points on this game
Just
to blow
get
it
the
up?
wizard mode.
Right. That's what he replied back. He's like, just get the wizard mode.
Wow.
Like, oh, great. Okay. Well, I'll just try that then. So, but yeah, we ended up playing Beatles. And then so Neil's dad ended up being in a position. So we were in a very familiar position here, just kind of what we did in classics. So he got to pick the second game.
Because I
And
took
what-
last on Beatles.
And what game did you pick?
Radical.
Radical. All
Radical.
right.
Yep.
Which
Fun
was
game.
another game I felt really confident and comfortable on.
I've
Yeah,
never
that
played
was-
Until I played that game.
Oh, it was crazy. So all 4 of us in qualifying, I think we all had above 12 or 13 million
Yeah.
on it in qualifying. And I only played it a couple times, but I felt really good on it.
I had
But yeah, when-
21 million on it in qualifying.
Yeah, Tom just annihilated it. And I think Was it? So did Johnny have the 40 million, or was that Andy Rosa that had 40? Somebody had 40 million. I know Bowden had 43.
He had a big score on
Maybe
it.
Johnny had like 15 to 18. Anyway, so everybody was doing pretty well in this Radical, and it had the ROM on it, of course, to where it makes it to where your jackpot's worth 4 million or whatever that's called. So we ended up playing it, and lo and behold, we probably had one of the grossest Radical games in the history of competitive pinball.
It was terrible.
Nobody got the multi-ball. We were all really bricking shots. We all tried to get dialed in on certain shots and just made dumb decisions, like all of us across the board. And I think somehow
Kaylee ended up winning it.
Right, with 4.4 million, and I squeaked out a second place with 3.9 million, about 100,000 ahead of Johnny. And pretty much all Johnny needed to do was hit like one shot, and he would have been fine. And that would have changed things up a little bit. Yeah, so it was a comedy of errors, that game. Nice. Pretty much.
So at this point, I'm pretty much out of it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and then that's when we went to Deadpool next, wasn't it?
Yes, and
I forget, did you pick that, or did you?
I picked it.
Okay, so yeah, he picked Deadpool, and then I remember that Kaylee absolutely blew it up.
Round before.
Was it the round before, or was it on ours?
The round before, ours, she had like 900 million on it.
Right, but on ours, she had above 500 million after ball one.
Oh, yes.
And then that's when Lightgate happened.
Lightgate, okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I got up. I was player 3. Yeah, I was player 3. And I get up there, and as soon as I plunge my ball, I try for the super skill shot, which is into the katana shot, the lock, right? And all of a sudden, the lights go out in the room, and I can't see anything. Yeah. I'm just like, what is going on? I can't see the ball. I don't know where it's at.
It was like disco multi-ball happened.
Oh my gosh!
During Travis's ball.
Nice. It was it was horrible. The lights went on and off, and it's like somebody was hitting the switch. And next thing I know, I can't see the ball, and my turn's over. And I look up, I have 80,000 points after bonus. I'm just like, what in the world? Yeah. So, and this is a crucial game because I have 5 points. Johnny has 3 and Kaylee has 4. So, I mean, this game meant something for us to move on to the next round. And they ended up declaring it, I guess, I forget. I think that they gave me a compensation ball. But it was really weird because I really wanted a ball 4 added on because I wanted my weapons progress. Because as it was, I was going to play balls 2 and 3 and then have to start a new game. And of course, everybody's kind of consoling me and saying, well, you get to play 2 little Deadpools. But I'm like, I don't care about the little Deadpool. I want my weapons because that's where a lot of the points are at. Yeah. You know, but got lucky, just played 2 more balls. And I think I ended up with like 255 million. And that was enough to get me through.
So you won it, even though you were good.
It took second, but it was enough to get through. Yeah.
That's great. So Tom, you're the one over there flipping the switch, I assume?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. All right. So you got through. So where'd we end up then? So what was the end result with Modern?
Well, so long story short, because I know we're kind of getting a little long with this, I ended up getting through semifinals, got the finals, and ended up tying for 3rd.
Nice.
I tied for 3rd, and then I won the tiebreaker, so I ended up winning 3rd outright.
And so Tom and Neil were 1 and 2, I assume.
No.
No, actually, Andy Rosa was 1, Derek Price was 2, and Kaylee took 4th.
Okay.
See, Tom, the 2 people that knocked me out took 3rd and 4th in the tournament.
Where did you end up, Tom?
Tied for 15th because of my poor play in the second round.
And Neil?
Neil did not make it, so he was
still too.
When Classics
too buzzed
started
from winning Classics, yeah.
When Classics finals started, I was like 12th in qualifying for Maine, and Neil was like 22nd, and then it's top 24, and Neil just bled out, and because he was playing the Classics finals the whole time.
Yeah, he committed to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all I can think of is one, I know I watched a tournament once where Andy Rosa wore a headlamp the whole time. So, Travis, you should probably invest in a headlamp. Then the light on, light off problem, no big deal.
There you go.
Problem solved. Wow, Tom is showing us a headlamp.
Of course you would have a headlamp.
Yeah.
Of course.
But yeah, we talked about this in our pre-production meeting. First off, we're like, oh, Free Play Florida. We'll talk about that for about 15 minutes. Whatever. 35 minutes later, here we are. But that's
Sorry, everybody.
No, I think it's great. I think that's there's a lot of tournament talk, and I've listened to many of podcasts, and I'm not a tournament player, but for one thing, we've already, the tournament talk podcast out there, Final Round Pinball. I think we just talked more tournament talk in the last 30 minutes than Final Round has talked about in about a year and a half. But they throw out all these words all the time, and I don't know. Hopefully I learned something today. I learned, so that was good. And I also heard, that Tom's a dick, and apparently Cosmos is not the game to play if you want to still have friends. And
I got to find one of those. If you have one for sale, hit me up.
Yeah, and Travis apparently needs to buy a Vector so he can actually back up his trash talk.
I will never stop talking trash.
Got it. Okay. Well, speaking of trash, this is a terrible transition. No, trash. Tom, recently you sold 2 pinball machines, and
that is
you
correct.
Bought a pinball machine, and Travis happened to also buy the same pinball machine. So on the count of 3, go ahead and say the machine at the same time, and in unison. It'll be really cute. 1, 2, 3.
Thunderbirds.
You're the worst. Speaking of Thunderbirds, apparently we actually had somebody emailed, Tom, was it? Somebody emailed one of you and said they were a little upset about our Thunderbirds conversation last round because they actually liked the game. So I thought that was funny. But
it was David Dennis.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But anyway, so Beatles. You
Beatles,
guys,
yes.
You both played Beatles. Travis, you said you had not played Beatles much before Free Play Florida. What was it about playing it at Free Play Florida that made you say, I actually want to buy this pen?
It's a fun tournament game. I mean, the rule set is pretty simple, but yet it's something that's challenging. It's easy to learn, hard to master. So it's something that you have to put together. It's just hearing the music, seeing the sounds. I like the shots because it's kind of like Sea Witch with some small nuances to it now, thanks to, I think it was George Gomez that made some of the changes. And I think who's on software, I think it's Dean Grover that's on software. So I'm very impressed with how the game played overall. And I was just pleasantly surprised. I had less than 5 games on it total before free play. And I just found myself taking extra plays on it during the tournament just because I just felt like playing it. Like I wasn't even trying to get a high score. I was just having a good time. And then it was funny because at the very end of the tournament was when we could actually hear the sound. So I ended up picking it as the very last game to play just because I wanted to hear the sound. I was already out of the tournament, but I wanted to hear what it actually sounded like, and I was pleasantly surprised. So
it sounds Beatles songs.
Yeah, it was definitely Beatles songs on the
Imagine that.
on the Beatle. Yep.
Nice. And Tom, was it just, Travis is getting one, so I want to get one too? Is that?
No, actually, I contacted Travis about it, and he's like, I'm getting one too. But
we were just like, have we just become best friends? I can't believe this. Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah.
Joel, are you getting a Beatles?
No, you don't want me in your friend group. You've already told me.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty
You're
much
not
the
a tournament
same
player.
Pretty much the same reasons Travis said. I mean, it is a really good tournament game. And I mean, I kind of discovered it really at Expo that it was good. But I know Travis wasn't there. But, just having it in the last 2 tournaments really turned my head around to it.
Interesting. Well, all your tournament players out there, I mean, it sounds like if this is a surprise to you, apparently give Beatles a shot. I know Raymond Davidson bought himself #1 pinball player in the world. He just bought himself a Beatles to have at home. And there's a lot of love. I've from what I've heard, I think Beatles would have sold way more if the price wasn't where it's at. But because it is a pricey pin. With that said, all pins are getting to be that price, so maybe not so much anymore. But
good observation there, Joel.
Yeah, I'm really
nothing's getting by you today.
I am quick. But yeah, so Tom, for you to buy a game, I know your basement's filled. So for you to buy a game, you typically have to sell a game. And I see you've sold 2 games recently. So it seems
I sold 2 because Godzilla came, and 2 things had to go basically.
Sure. And what I think is interesting is when I look at the 2 pins you sold, they kind of, in my mind, kind of match two games you bought. So you just bought a Beatles. So the game you sold that is very similar to Beatles is actually, in my mind, TNA. You sold your TNA music pin, single level pin. Quick comparison there. I mean, why? Why'd you sell TNA?
I really like TNA, but I've had it for 4 years, and I pretty much know the game backwards and forwards. So I just didn't see the reason to keep it around anymore.
Okay,
and so
makes sense. But the surprising thing here is the other pin you sold, and the reason what I'm going to say here is we're going to transition to our current view of the top 10 Pinside list, and this is actually a very unique situation because all of us have played Godzilla. Tom owns Godzilla LE, of course, Elitist, and I am currently borrowing a Godzilla Pro, and Travis is playing the heck out of the Godzilla that he has near him, and it's we all are like in love with this game. This game is incredible, and if you look at the Pinside Top 100 as of November 29th, Godzilla's number one. That's not unheard of. Most new games, the LE buyers, Tom being one of them, is quick to like 10 out of 10 in every category. This is the best thing that's ever happened ever. So it's not uncommon for the newest game out to be the number one game. But what I would like to discuss is the number two game. Well, what normally is sitting at number one is Medieval Madness. And it always seems like brand new pin comes out, boom, number one. And then Medieval Madness replaces it. Medieval Madness always ends up back at the top. And what I would like to discuss is, in my opinion, I think Godzilla could dethrone Medieval Madness as number one. And what's an interesting situation is, Tom, you just got your Godzilla LE, and the game that you just sold happens to be Medieval Madness. So why, Tom? Why was Medieval Madness the other game you sold?
Again, I've had it for so long. I probably had it since like 2008, 2009. So I've had it a long time. And of course, back then I swore, I'm never getting rid of this game, kind of thing. And honestly, it just wasn't resonating with me anymore. It was just sitting there. So, I got tired of beating on the castle door and, blowing up castles. Do I think it's a really good game? I still do. But I just have my fill of it, and new stuff's coming in, and, code wise on these newer games, there's just so much more to do on them. And being in the home environment, I just, you look at Medieval Madness, you look at Godzilla, and something had to go. Certainly I could have sold some other games in my collection, but there's other stuff I wanted to keep around.
I think that's a fair statement. I don't know. I thought that was really unique because in my mind, I asked, why is Medieval Madness number one? Why? And maybe before I give my explanation, Travis, I was about to go to Travis, but Travis just gave me the finger and had to go get another Mountain Dew. Well, sure. Tom, why is it that Medieval Madness has reigned supreme at the top of the list? What is it about that game that keeps it at number one?
It's a cool game. I mean, you have the castle for one thing. I mean, it's probably one of the best toys in pinball. You got the gate in front of the castle, and then you have the you have the drawbridge, and then you have the gate, and then shooting in there, the castle explodes. It's an awesome toy, and then the humor of the game is fantastic.
So Travis apparently forgot how to sit on a chair.
I think I just broke my chair.
Oh Lord! He went and got.
I just broke it.
He got his.
I was wondering why you were
Mountain Dew.
laughing.
Oh, Diet Mountain Dew.
I thought he was laughing at me.
Yeah.
No, I accidentally snapped my arm to my chair and I fell off.
Oh wow.
Okay, we're good. We're
Yeah.
good. Sorry,
Once
guys.
again, reasons why we need to have video. But
Oh my God.
but Tom, okay, so maybe let's see if Travis, you can add anything to this. Why the question is why is Medieval Madness, or why has Medieval Madness reigned supreme at number 1 for so long? And Tom said it has probably one of the best toys ever and humor. Yes?
Yep.
Is that
All those
it?
things. Well, that, and it's easy to play.
Okay.
I mean,
Easy to
you
play.
can make it super hard by waxing it down and getting the pitch higher, but overall, I mean, it's one of those games to where, again, you can explain the rule set in 30 seconds, and you can tell somebody brand new, if they come up to the pen, you're just like, hey, shoot it up the middle,
Yep.
hit the castle all day long, catch it, and hit some other shots, and eventually you'll start some multi-balls. I mean, that's really the crux of the whole rule set on that, is if you hit the same shot multiple times, then you'll light a multi-ball at that saucer or whatever you want to call it. So something like that, it's just easy for new players to understand. And when they can make something happen in the game
Yeah.
that's very noticeable,
Yeah.
that draws a lot of people in. That's just how pinball is.
So here's my argument, right? So if we look at Godzilla and we ignore almost all of the game, like if we focus only entirely on the building, like Godzilla has, the rules of Godzilla is absurd, and it's only going to get better. There are so many different multi-balls. There are so many unique shots in that game, and that's awesome for us pinball people. But if we look from a novice level and we look only at that building, you just said in Medieval Madness, all you have to do is hit that, you hit it enough, boom, drawbridge comes down. You hit it enough, boom, the gate goes up. You hit it up the middle, boom, you blew it up. You happen to hit a little bit to the left of that, you can get to a multi-ball. Like, it's super easy to explain to a novice person. But the building on a premium or LE of Godzilla, you can do the exact same thing. You can tell a novice person, hit that building enough. What happens? It lowers down. You hit that enough, again, you're going to see the balls lock on top of the building, and you hit it again, and boom, you're in a multi-ball. Like, I think we may have finally found a mech that, in my mind, can potentially compete with the Medieval Madness castle. And that is huge. I think that's huge to have in a game that I think why are we pointing to Mountain Dew?
That's fair, Joel.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. But that's my, like, I have the Pro, and unfortunately the Pro doesn't have that. It doesn't have the raising and lowering mech. But the Pro is really showing me all these other things about Godzilla that are incredible, that are really, really neat and fun. And I don't have to get into those, but just focusing on the building alone, there, in my mind, I think there might finally be a mech that can compete with the Medieval Madness castle. And it's just as easy to explain. It does just as cool. Like, it may not blow up, but it raises and lowers. The multi-ball's right there. It's easy to explain. It's all right there in the building. And then, Tom, you had mentioned humor. I don't know about you guys, but they really went all in on campiness. And
yeah, Godzilla's hilarious.
Godzilla is so
pretty
funny. And to be honest, most of the time in code, it's only at 0.81 right now. And there's going to be plenty of rules. But what typically ends up being added, like, what are the main things that are added towards the end of the code? It's typically more light shows and more clips, like more video clips or more sound clips. In my mind, I think the humor level of this game is only going to increase. Like, I think they're only going to add more content. And so, I mean, Deadpool's hilarious. In my mind, I think Deadpool is a hilarious game. That may be one of the funnier games out there. But I am really surprised with how much fun I have with Godzilla. And, like, my brother-in-law came over and, like, he was laughing at the game, and while I'm playing, looking at the clips and stuff. So in my mind, what is it about Medieval Madness? You said it's the mech and it's the humor. And I just personally think Godzilla can go toe to toe with that and might actually stay at number 1, if not top 3.
Okay, my wife, who doesn't play pinball at all, played Godzilla, and she liked it.
Hey.
Like, I didn't think somebody like my wife would say something like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ringing endorsement right there. Zach Minnie, that's how you sell games right there.
Tom's wife.
No, it goes, Neil's dad's wife
Yeah.
approves of this game.
We can't just go with Neil's mom to remove Neil. Remove
Yeah, that's
Tom
true.
from the
Let's
equation
just get
entirely.
Tom completely out of the picture.
Neil's
Yeah.
mom. Yeah.
But no, it's exactly what we talked about a few weeks ago, Joel, on one of your streams when we were talking about Godzilla.
Yeah.
And I said even there that I think quite possibly we're looking at a game that will most likely be considered the greatest of all time when it's all said and done. And I think that
Rush
we're still
hasn't
looking
come
at
out
that.
yet.
Oh yeah, of course. But I mean, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Now, it's fascinating to me when you look at a Godzilla compared to a Twilight Zone or compared to, I don't know, even a Creature or something like that. Just different types of layouts that aren't necessarily your traditional fan layout. You know, it's something that's very dynamic. And what I find interesting about the building in general is not only the fact that it moves up and down, but it can alter your shots too. And that right there is something that's very unique. And I know that the newbie player might not appreciate that because they might not even realize what they're seeing, but somebody that is fully into pinball, they're going to notice that. And that dynamic right there is huge in of itself.
Yes.
And then on top of that, whenever I got a chance to play the premium and whenever I saw how the balls get locked up and just the sound going off with the Blue Oyster Cult, Godzilla song and all that, it added to that atmosphere. And it was just, when we talk about pinball moments, that to me is a pinball moment. And for me personally, after destroying the castle several times over the course of my pinball career, for me, I'm more excited to see the building than I am the castle. And a lot of that is not just the mech itself, it's everything that's included with it. It's the sound, it's the music, it's what happens right afterwards, because you know if you destroy that building, something good's going to happen and you end up getting a lot of shots lit. Where with Medieval Madness, if you destroy the castle, well, really all that happens after the castle does its little blow up thing, you go right back to doing the same exact thing again.
Yep.
And I think that's the big difference is Godzilla gives you a chance to breathe and it gives you plenty of other things to do and then come back around to that building. And I think what's really cool about it is when you look at the Medieval Madness mech, what's added in with that is that ball lock that's right there to the left, right? So it kind of gives you something else to do. But with Godzilla, you have that Magna grab or whatever it's called, you know? And so there's something right there that's kind of added in with it that may not be attached to it as it was in Medieval Madness, but you still do have to utilize the building in order to get it back there anyway. So I really like how that is. And there's just, I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff added on with it that really brings it together. And for me, it's a good experience that I don't think is going to get old anytime soon.
I'm with you. And what surprised me when I saw the initial stream and I was like, oh wow, he put this crazy mech right up the middle. Like, okay, am I going to have to destroy this building every single time I play? Like every single time you play Medieval Madness, you are focusing on destroying castles. Like that is a key aspect of the game. The reality is the way that Keith has coded this game, like that's just one multi-ball. There's so many other multi-balls in the game. You don't have to prioritize that first, or you may not even do that. Like it's not the main focal point of the game. There's bridge multi-ball, there's tank multi-ball, there's Mecha Godzilla multi-ball. Bridge alone is an awesome mech. Mecha Godzilla is an awesome mech. And it's just I don't know. I think he's added this mech, and you're saying it's an amazing moment. What's great is it gives you a chance to breathe because it's before a multi-ball. It's not a single ball moment. It's the start of a multi-ball. What, Travis?
You actually just hit the nail on the head right there of why that this should be the number one pin and why it most likely will stay. Because the big difference between Godzilla and a lot of these other pins is that if you really break down the different areas of the Godzilla playfield, each has its own little ecosystem of something to do. Yeah. And it's always interesting. It's not boring. Like the left side with the floating flipper, not boring. The right side with the pop bumper and the scoop, even though I hate scoops, but this actually makes sense where it's at. It's not boring. It's a fun shot to hit. Where Mechagodzilla is on the premium and LE, That's not boring at all. And you know what? Hitting that spinner right there, even on a pro, is still fun. The way
Yes.
that you can combo the ramps is fun. The way that you can hit the heat ray center spinner is
Yep.
fun. The way you can do the loops is fun. It's hard to find a spot on this playfield in which it's not fun. I mean, hell, even the in lanes become fun because that's
with
how
the
you get your jet
fighter. Yeah.
It is crazy to me how much in this game there is when you really break it down section by section. Even on the left side, it's kind of that maser cannon is exactly where the idol is from Ripley's Believe It or Not. And that's an interesting shot. And there's parts of the game that forces you to go that direction. And that's what I like about the rule set as well, is it does make you go horizontal in order to make progress in certain modes.
Side to side, yeah.
Yep.
So just to confirm, Tom, the reason your wife liked the game was because of the in lanes, right? That's what
that was
she's into.
definitely it.
It's all about those in lanes.
Best in lane.
She was
ever.
shatzing them.
Yeah, that's
Well, hey, there's something. I'm pretty sure there's something in the game, or at
There
least there's
is.
something coming to where you need the shats
No,
to the right in
I
lane.
read a
Right?
rule. Yeah, if you start, it's like if you start a mode or you change your city by shatzing through the right in lane up into the scoop, it's worth something extra. Like it's something stupid like that.
That's physically possible.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, you can, or maybe it's something like that. It's you have to shats through the right, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you have to shats through the left to start the maser cannon, or I don't know. It's something
I'll
like
have to
that.
check that out
I mean,
later.
let's
Yeah,
figure this
it's-
out. Okay, so what's the most boring part to the pin on the playfield? Because if you think about any other game, you can pretty much say what part it doesn't hold any water to the rest of it pretty quick.
I mean, the maser cannon doesn't. It's not necessarily a shot that gives you any joy. Like what's cool though, right next to it is a spinner, which is fun to rip. Spinners are always fun to rip, but
So basically, one shot out of the whole entire game that you're
Yeah,
kind of like,
every-
on.
I don't. I mean,
A target.
the point. The reality is, I think the three of us we could spend the next 30 minutes talking about each individual section of Godzilla and why it's awesome. And I don't.
Right.
We don't have to do that. But
But what I'm getting at is now let's compare it to Medieval Madness.
oh yeah,
You see what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, it's like for me, the cannon, or what is that? Not the cannon.
catapult.
The catapult. Yeah. That, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, the orbits are orbits, you know? I mean, maybe the right ramp can be fun when it opens up and you can go all the way. I mean, that's about it. The saucer shot, I could
Yeah.
care less. I don't like that shot at all.
Well,
The trolls
know,
are
so-
cool.
the trolls are cool. Yeah, sure. If
Okay, trolls.
yeah,
Yeah, the two things that come up and everybody's like, oh crap, it's in the way.
it's in the way, but it's.
Yeah.
But they're cool. I mean, from a novice standpoint, though, what is it that like my friends and family drink your drink? What is it that they like? They want to see those mechs. They want to see something like something change on the playfield. And
Yep.
you know, they step up to Medieval Madness. They see the castle. Oh, that's cool. I want to do that again. Or the trolls pop up. They're like, oh, that's neat. Obviously, Godzilla. This is what I think's weird is so you got the building, you can show them that, and then you can show them Mecha Godzilla on a premium, you can show all that spins, and you can hit him in the little tummy, which is what Dennis referred to it as. You could show them how the bridge moves. To be honest, for a novice to get to a bridge multi-ball though would be impressive. There's a few different things, but I do think, and this is, you probably guys aren't going to like this, but believe it or not, my brother-in-law, when he came over and we were playing Godzilla, he looked, he's like, what's with the QR code? Like he asked what that was about, Insider Connected. And I was like, I explained to him what it was. He's like, oh, okay. Well, then I was playing and I got an achievement. He goes, okay, how do I sign up for this? And he did. He pulled out his phone and he signed up for Insider Connected right there. Like he saw me get an achievement and saw that and goes, well, I want to do that. And what's unfortunate is it actually took like over 10 minutes for him to get the confirmation email for him to sign up. So like the level of entry for somebody brand new to sign up for the platform isn't instant. He was like checking his email as we were still playing and he finally got it. And then he got in, and then that was all he wanted to do is he's like, how do I get an achievement? And it's like, well, let's try to get you to start a multi-ball. And he played a game and boom, he got that achievement. And he's like, well, let me do another achievement. So it's me next to him. I mean, it pushed him to play the game another 20 minutes because he wanted to get a few of the easy achievements. So I just think from a novice standpoint, I mean, it's maybe Stern's kind of smart. And between Keith Elwin designing amazing games and this Insider Connected, and so I just, yeah, everybody's sick of hearing this because that's what I think every podcast has been for the last month. But like Godzilla's legit. Godzilla is legit, and I think it's here to stay, and I think it may stay in the top 10, if not top 3 for quite a while.
It won't drop out of the top 5. I don't see any way possible. It'd have to be review bombed by some deep root stan that just wants to take the world down. I just don't see it happening. But I will say about the Insider Connect, because I know we've talked about it a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
I will say just from firsthand experience, or at least witnessing this, my 2 sons that are 11 and 12, they can't get enough of it. For them, it resonates because they're fully into the PC and Xbox culture, achievements, and all that. And when they see something like that, what I've noticed, and I haven't pushed it on them, they're figuring out the rule set along the way, and they're talking about it, and they're like, okay, how do I do this? Or how do I do that? And that's one of the things that's kind of like a side effect of, and I'm sure Stern planned on this, of achievements themselves, is that it forces you to explore different parts of the game that you otherwise might not think of if that achievement wasn't there.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's definitely a good side effect. And I find that even my kids, they're enjoying the game a lot more. And that's another big reason why I decided to get a Beatles, because it's supposed to come with the Insider Connected also with achievements and all that. So
nice.
I'm very interested in all that for sure.
So Tom, I'm assuming you know this. So currently I'm having my basement. It's all the drywall's hung. It's currently being mudded. So I'm actually sitting in my unfinished basement area. All my games are surrounding me, but they're all folded up. They're all wrapped up, folded up. So I haven't actually played anything in like well over a week and a half, but they just dropped all the new code for all the other games. So like Deadpool, Turtles, a bunch of other games got code updates, and the code updates include Insider Connect. Well, nobody has Insider Connect. They haven't shipped any of the Insider Connected stuff to anybody. Nobody has it. But what you can do is you can actually take the Insider Connect QR code reader out of your Godzilla and plug it into your Deadpool or your Turtles or whatever, install the new code update, and it will see that QR code reader. So there are people, it's funny, there's all these Godzilla owners out there that are taking their QR code readers out of their Godzilla and moving it game to game to game to game and like getting achievements in other games. Did you know that? And have you thought about doing that?
It sounds like a lot of work, Joel.
So no is the answer. Yeah. But it has really shown me though. I mean, for people that are on the fence of like, do I want to spend $200 on an Insider Connected kit? It sounds like all you got to do is buy one. You only have to buy one. And I guarantee somebody will probably 3D print something. It'll be like a little box that you could put your, Lure mods or Meso mods or whoever wants to listen to me talk, make a box that fits your little QR code reader.
Here's what I would do. But
for
Travis,
the record, Stern, I am not going to do that. My name is Travis Murie. I will not do that.
Yeah.
Joel might, though.
No, I only have two
you guys
games.
send the feds to Joel, please.
I'm getting it for both, but
there's a place you can put it probably on the coin door where the bill acceptor would go.
You probably could, but I'm saying if you wanted to make a portable one, it looks like it's just like a Cat 5 cable, and you just run one of those, an extra one, stick it out of the bottom of your game, and I mean there are people, people will be doing that, but I think that's huge. I'm not necessarily endorsing it, but I think it's for the home use for the home use buyers. I think that the fact that is even doable, I think there's going to be a lot more people now buying at least one kit, and they're going to be hunting these achievements at home.
Well, and let's face it. I mean, Stern is pretty much, aren't they making that for a location? I mean,
yeah,
it's not necessarily for a home user. I mean, a home user can use it, but
yeah, you only get half the points, right?
You only get half the points.
Or in Travis's world, you get double points on location. That's how he likes to look at it. But that's
right.
I do know it's possible, and I do know there's people doing it. So I it's still, Insider Connect has been released, but it's still just slowly, barely trickling out. And I think they had like a production of Iron Maidens recently that actually home use buyers have got their games that now have Insider Connect. But I don't really know of any other games that have been produced since Godzilla that have that built in yet.
Like Travis said before, he bought his Beatles with Insider Connect. I decided to do the same.
Got it. Because I think, didn't Zach, so this is Zach Mini at Flipping Out Pinball, didn't he say he had a few Beetles in stock? So you didn't buy anything in stock. You were purposely placing
when I talked to Zach, he had one in stock. I don't know if he still has it, but he said, hey, just so you know, they're going to be making more with the Insider Connect. You know, it's a little more money, but
Sure.
yeah, I just decided to go with the Insider Connect one.
And when are those being made? Are those this year or next year?
I don't know.
Okay.
Pretty soon, I'd hope.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
isn't
assuming...
I think within the next couple of months.
yeah.
But is
I'm
there
not
a
positive,
price?
but I think it is.
I know Beatles had a unique price already, but was there a price increase? Like, did Beatles move its price based on Godzilla price increase?
$300 more than a
Yeah, but it's
one
not like
without it.
what was it? They were showing like Turtles and Mando and all the other pros are going up to a Godzilla Pro price come January 1st.
I mean, pricing is pricing. I think we're going to find, just like we talked about in the last one, it's going to be dynamic across the board.
All right.
Now that a lot of these distributors are figuring out that they're not getting the allotments that they thought that they were going to get,
Sure.
I'm sure a lot of them realize that they got to price a little bit differently. Otherwise, they're going to be out of a game pretty quick.
Yeah.
Or out of stock pretty quick.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
I mean,
could
pricing's
Stern
kind of
come
all over the
back
place.
to the distributors and say you can only sell your games at MSRP?
Absolutely. Stern as a distributor or as the wholesaler or as the manufacturer, they could go ahead and put a price ceiling on it. Now, the thing is, it's not necessarily in their interest to put a price ceiling on it.
Sure.
Because the bottom line is the way that prices are going, it makes it to where they can justify putting out Elvira 40th anniversary to where there's no MSRP.
Which
it makes it to where
which
they're
is crazy.
right.
It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes it to where they're justified putting out something that's probably coming out next year that everybody pretty much knows what I'm talking about at this point. So, I mean, some companies would want to put a price ceiling on it, but I think at this point, it wouldn't make much sense for Stern to do that
No.
in this way because their distribution is so much too. They have so many distributors and dealers or whatever you want to call them. I personally think that there's too many out there, but as it is, it's like once that's out of, Pandora's box, you're not going to put it back in.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen if they put a price ceiling, it would basically make it to where all the small dealers would be absolutely annihilated. They would get destroyed. And it would put a lot of people out of business really quick because if they sell through, they get the profit off that. But then guess what? They're sitting there with no inventory. When you have no inventory, you can't make any sales. And when you go a few months in between getting product, I mean, it makes it awfully difficult. So imagine them telling somebody, well, the LEs are 10.5. You better not sell it for 15 and get that extra 5 or whatever it is. I mean, that's a lot of money. And just like we estimated before, I mean, we did the numbers and there's some companies that legitimately without doing dynamic pricing, they cost themselves $250,000 probably last year. And that's not chump change at all. I mean, that's when you're talking about rising costs in raw materials. And when you're talking about a lack of inventory, you need money to keep your business healthy. You need money to make sure that you make it through whatever you need to make through. So, I mean, I just don't see a price ceiling coming up. I think it wouldn't be the smartest decision to do at this point.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, as a buyer, is unfortunate. It'd be nice if we could keep these things, dialed at capped. That would be very nice, but I get it. I also understand from a sales perspective, I would understand why they won't do it. But, well, just looking at time, we had plans of discussing the whole top 10. All I'll say is making one quick comment. Keith Elwin right now, he has 4 games. All 4 of his games are in the top 10. And if you look at the top 10, there's a lot of modern games, a bunch of JJP's modern games are right there, and it's clear the games that have come out in the last few years have really come in and disrupted, these classics that have held these top 10 standards for a long time. And Keith Elwin is, if you haven't heard of the guy, if you're new to pinball, Keith Elwin, this guy has proven he can design a pinball machine. And
he's not bad at playing them either.
True.
Well, I think what's most interesting about it too is that there's 3 designers right now that are still active that have multiple pins that are high up, and that's Eric, is Elwin,
Yep.
and Brian Eddy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so there's still a lot of pinball to be had in the future.
Well, technically Gomez too. I mean, Gomez he's
Deadpool.
not supposed to be designing, but yet Deadpool's up there, Monster Bash is up there, I mean,
Right.
Lord of the Rings is up there pretty high. Like Gomez knows how to design a game. So if we're looking at that, who are these designers that are really crushing it? It's Brian Eddy, Eric Minor with JJP, Keith Elwin, Stern, and Gomez was Stern. So pretty crazy stuff. I have no transition, but one of the things I don't know whose idea this was. I think it was Travis's
Neil's
idea.
dad.
Neil's
Nope,
dad.
Neil's dad's
was it
idea.
Tom's idea.
Yep.
We're talking music
See.
pins. And so Travis gave us homework and said, "Hey, come prepared."
No, that
with,
was me.
Who gave us idea? Okay.
Jeez,
That was
Joel.
Tom.
Okay,
Tom did.
Tom gave us homework. He wanted us to come
Yep.
prepared for a list of your top 5 music pins. And then we were discussing how do we share this, and we decided, okay, let's just go around and list out the music pins or the bands that we think would make sense to have a music pin, and maybe collectively the chance of this going well is very small, but maybe between the 3 of us we can somehow agree on what we feel are 5 bands or pins that would make sense to make as music pins.
And you can't do pins that have already been done or rumored to be coming out,
Yeah.
like Rush and Queen.
Exactly.
Well, Queen has already
Queen's
been built,
already
I
been
guess.
out technically. It's already been set. And then yes, one of my honorable mentions, it makes sense. Rush, it's not confirmed, but it is pretty clear
It
that
better
there's
be
a,
made.
there's
I'm
a good
kicking
chance
everybody's ass.
the next the next Stern pin is going to be Rush. So believe it or not, the list that I'm most interested to hear is actually Travis's. So Travis, let's start with you. No, never mind. Screw you, Tom. This is your game. Tom, we'll start with you. That way we can
Okay.
end on whatever insanity Travis brings to the table. So, Tom, what do we got? What's your
All right,
what's your
I'm
list?
gonna go 5.
Loser kids, please come save me. Please. I'm a free agent. Please.
Yeah.
My number 5 was Red Hot Chili Peppers.
All right. Solid band. Got it. A lot
My
of albums. Well liked. Yeah.
My number 4 was Motley Crue.
Okay.
My
All right.
number 3 was Foo Fighters.
Good choice.
My
Yep.
number 2 is The Who. And I want to hear that
There already is a
Tommy
Who pin.
game. That is
Yeah.
not The Who. That is the theatrical version of Tommy. So I want
Okay.
The Who band.
Okay.
All encompassing.
Yeah.
Which band?
The Who.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
I see what you attempted to do there, Travis. And,
And my number 1
I just like hearing him say the who.
okay.
and my number
Number
1
one.
since, Rush is off my number 1 list would be Van Halen.
Okay. So, before we get into Travis's list, my question is, what makes a good music pin? Because when I think of good music pins, the 4 that pop into my head are AC/DC, Metallica, Led Zeppelin, and Guns N' Roses. Those are the 4 that pop into my head. Am I missing one? Am I missing something glaringly obvious as a good music pin?
Kiss has gotten a lot better.
Kiss. Okay. But when we look at those, those 5, what is it about those? Like, what is it that makes it a good music pin versus just a pin that happens to be themed on a band? Or what's a bad music pin? What would be a bad one? The original GNR? Would you consider that a bad music pin?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that
Or
one.
maybe what separates
okay.
out of those 5, what do you feel is the best of those 5? I mean, the most well-liked, if you look at the list, would be GNR, right?
I think
think
the best
so.
on that
think it is,
list
yep.
would probably be Metallica. But
Metallica's-
that's my personal
But Metallica,
preference.
and I agree, Metallica is a fantastic game, but the truth is Metallica just has a handful of Metallica songs, And the reason people love Metallica, right, is typically Sparky, the toys, and then the fact that the code is so unique with the risk reward, right? I mean, I don't know. Is it just happened to be? I feel like you could retheme Metallica relatively easily, and there are people that take Metallica and swap out the songs all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I feel about Iron Maiden. I feel like
I
you could
forgot
put
about
any
Iron Maiden.
band on there. I just figured
Well,
you were just ignoring Iron Maiden.
I know,
I just
I
played
totally-
along with it.
Totally
I'm gonna go
forgot.
hang
But Beatles,
myself.
right? Beatles is a great music pin, and you guys just bought one. But I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. Like, how do you make a music pin? Like, how do you do that well? And I think when I think of modern stuff, I think of like Led Zeppelin. I think Led Zeppelin has done a very good job where, sure, you can say what you want about the layout or the toys or the mechs that are in or not in the game. But I think Led Zeppelin did a good job where there's a fair amount of songs, and each song has a very unique rule set, and the way that the songs flow one into the other. I mean, you really feel you are rocking out when you are playing Led Zeppelin. Like it's a great experience. Yeah. And then GNR takes that to a whole new level where it is, you are at the concert, right? You have the light show, you have 21 different songs. The GNR Guns N' Roses is the core of the game. Some people say that's all that's in the game. They don't really care about the rules or the layout or anything, but the light show and the music, that's what makes the game, right? So I don't know, at least me, when I was thinking in my head, what's a music pin that I want to play? I am thinking about what bands put on a good show that could bring visuals to the game, that could bring a light show to the game, that can bring high energy to the game. Because the truth is, I think you could take most bands, and if you give it a killer rule set like Metallica, you could make them, or even Iron Maiden. There's a lot of people that don't like Iron Maiden at all, but Keith Elwin gave it an awesome layout and some really good rule set and made that game really well loved.
True.
So what special, like, what makes one band more, like, why did those bands make your list, Tom? Was it just popularity, or was it because you feel like, I don't know, the energy that they bring to the pin? What?
Yeah, I think it's more so energy. Like,
Okay.
Certain songs I think are better for pinball, but
Okay. So
I'm not going to play I don't know, My
Enya?
Little Pony.
Enya, the
Enya.
pinball machine. Yeah.
The Kenny G pin is going to go
Kenny G, oh
gangbusters.
boy. Yeah. Or like, I get you. I understand. Like Adele is one of the most popular artists, in the U.S., but that's not going to work well for a pinball machine. I don't know. I'm going to go second just because I want to. So just keep staring at your iPad, Travis. With all of my little rant there, when I first saw a GNR, I said that light show is absurd. And they did an amazing job bringing in all of the concert animations and concert footage. And it truly feels like you were at the concert. So in my mind, when I first saw that, I was like, too bad it's Guns N' Roses, though, because I don't really like Guns N' Roses. But in my mind, what's a band that puts on the same level of light show and rock and amazing concert experience? And I don't, maybe have you guys ever heard of the band Muse? M-U-S-E, Muse.
I haven't.
Yep.
Muse, they are incredible. They are a modern rock band that they've sold out Wembley. I mean, they're incredible. And I've seen them live, but they put on truly an amazing like rock show experience, like visual experience. And so that's why in my mind, that was my number one, Muse, because I don't think they're popular. Like they're not popular enough to be Van Halen. They can't beat that. They can't beat Motley Crue. They can't beat anything that you just mentioned, but they visually bring something insane to a concert. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are asking for modern bands. Like they don't want the dad rock bands. They want modern bands. So I was thinking, what's a modern band? So my list was actually Muse was number one. Foo Fighters was on that list.
Ooh.
Foo Fighters, once again, puts on an amazing show. They're a modern band. I think you're onto something right there. Red Hot Chili Peppers, same thing. I would consider them a modern band. They put on an amazing show. That fits into that. Another band that I actually think fits well, once again, into modern rock bands that put on a really good show is Linkin Park. Now, Linkin Park is not, I don't love them. I don't listen to them anymore. But there's a joke that anybody under the age of 40, at some point in time, your favorite band was Linkin Park. That's the joke. And there's truth to it. Like, I loved Linkin Park when I was in high school, but I think they have an amazing discography. They're a solid rock band. They've got plenty to pull from. I think they're popular enough. I think Linkin Park could potentially make sense. And then my last band, which is, we've talked about this before, is let's say we avoid rock. Well, what's another high energy music genre? And I'm going to go electronica. And so if you're going to go electronica, this is, to me, I've called TNA a music pin before, and people poo-poo that. They say, no, it's not. But what if I think of electronica band that would fit that type of pin? What electronica band in my mind has one of the best discographies that you could pull from? And that's Daft Punk. Like, I understand Tron is already a Daft Punk game, and there are people that own Tron just because it's a Daft Punk game. But if there was a dedicated Daft Punk game, the visuals and the audio that you could bring into that game, the Daft Punk Alive tour is insane. And there's plenty of other electronica bands out there that could have good pins. But if I'm going to go with one with name recognition, I kind of feel like Daft Punk leads the charge there. So that was my 5 with my honorable mentions being which were Rush, but then Pink Floyd, obviously Floyd rock band with a ridiculous visual and light show. And then Tool. I understand Tool's music is very chill, like more chill and very long. But once again, if what's going to make a pin stand out in my mind, it's going to be bringing the visual and the light show and that atmospheric experience to the game. That was my list. So I'm fine with 2 lists. And if you want to move on, Tom, we can.
No, we got to give Travis his due.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
He's very
Travis,
proud over there.
Yeah.
I'm going to just go to poor man's podcast at this rate.
Travis, let's hear
Drew needs a new co-host.
What's your list, and why is it Dixie Chicks?
So actually, I kind of figured with some of the names that you guys put out there, I kind of figured you guys would say that. So I purposely left a few of those off. And so the ones I purposely left off was Linkin Park and Foo Fighters and Van Halen.
Okay.
So those I left off, but I think those are really good ones. So I just kind of took it a different direction.
Sure.
I said, okay, what's kind of off the beaten path that maybe nobody's thinking about that would, I don't know, would be interesting. I don't know if it'd sell well. I don't know how well it'd do on location. I just think the pins would be interesting. So in no particular order, I do have Daft Punk on there.
There you go.
Like one of my number ones. And it's just strictly because of the type of show that they put on. I think if I was designing or coding a pin, I would love to have something like Daft Punk, because it's just, to me, if you look at Daft Punk, I'm sure Dwight Sullivan would be salivating to do something like that. Because imagine the light shows that you could do with something like that. So I think something around Daft Punk, and they have the right music for it as well. And they have a plenty of catalog that you could go off of. They're retired now. And so it's just, it's something that I think would go over really well.
If you,
and then imagine,
sorry to interrupt, I just, with
no,
that
go,
book,
go
if
ahead,
you, like if Stern got it great, or JJ, I don't care. But if you, like, there's somebody, Scott Denisi, who is an electronica music maker in this hobby. If you somehow got Scott involved, because Daft Punk, you could remix all their songs. So depending on where you're at, you could continue to loop the same music and it could all flow together. Like electronica music makes total sense.
So I'm glad you brought this up.
Okay.
So Scott Denisi will not be able to make Daft Punk or work on it. The reason being is because he is my number 4, and it's a game called Scott Denisi's House Party. So you guys remember they did Scott Denisi Haunted House Party.
Yeah.
And it ended up not happening. I say have Scott Denisi do a new soundtrack, new game, say, you're the DJ, go for it. Like this is your game. So I would like to see something like that, because with TNA's music, I'm very impressed by that.
Yeah.
Just the sounds of it. And I would like to see more of that again. I'd like to see what else he has left in the tank.
TNA 2. So even though he wrote all the music of Rick and Morty,
I don't want to see TNA 2.0. I want to see Scott Denisi's house party. I want to see something just inspired. He just goes nuts. You let him do Scott Denisi things and see what happens.
Well,
I was very impressed by the soundtrack.
I'm trying to remember, and maybe it was Jordan from Fliptronic, but somebody said something about what if you made a game that as you're hitting shots, you were building the song. So electronica music, you can do that. Where different, it starts off with that beat, but as you're hitting stuff, it's adding in
It could,
all
but
that stuff.
most pinball players would be doing like the cymbals because they'd be bricking shots all the time. And yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. It's like, damn, this song needs more cowbell.
Or you're saying if there was an exploit, right, where it's like, well, for tournament mode, all you hit is left orbit. It's like, dude, quit. Like, don't add any more synth. The left orbit is the synth shot, and we have enough.
But I personally would just like to see him be able to create something like that, because I think if you're gonna go just kind of an original IP, I think have it be music. Have it be music, and you could really make something pretty cool. And you could probably do that with any established artist that's out there, even if they're not very well known. I mean, I think that there's a lot of opportunity out there, and I think that that's something that if you're American Pinball, probably consider. If you're Spooky, probably consider. I mean, I think there's a lot of meat left on the bone for something like that a lot of people would be attracted to.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty. I mean, Tom's all in on Rush. Doesn't matter who's designing it. It does not matter that game could be garbage, but Tom's in. Tom's ready to buy it, and that's because of the band. So I understand there are plenty of bands out there that now. Obviously, you need to look at your demographic. You need to look at who's buying pinball machines. So if they made a Taylor Swift pin right now, I don't think that would sell nearly as well as Van Halen or Rush.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too. I want to be upfront. I would love for there to be a hip hop machine. I would love for there to be one. I mean, I even took my Iron Maiden and I redid the music to be hip hop Maiden, and nice. I love that thing. It all blended together. It all made sense. I wish something out there was like that, but just facing facts, the demographic, I don't think it would support it necessarily.
Yeah. Well,
but I would love something like that. I think even on location, I don't know how well that would do overall in a lot of different regions. It would probably do semi-decent, but then a lot of other regions, not so much.
There would have to be a family-friendly mode, right? And there would be plenty of bleeps or explicit. Gosh. But I actually looked, I did Tom's homework, and instead of looking up like top 50 greatest rock bands, I looked up top 50 greatest live shows. Because that's what I think Guns N' Roses has really done well, is they focused on a live show. And one of the highest rated rap live shows was the Jay-Z and Kanye, what is it? Watch the Throne or something, the Throne tour. Yeah. It's it's like, man, that would be a blast. Like that could be an amazing pin.
So Kanye West would be another pin that I would really like to see. If somebody did hip hop, I would love to see that. I thought about Linkin Park too, because I think if you did Linkin Park, there's potential. Maybe you could backdoor and have some Jay-Z in that, since they did a collaboration. Maybe, I don't know, obviously, license and all that. Yeah. But I mean, that's all possibilities. But anyhow, so moving forward with my next band, and this isn't even a band, this goes into the show that we were talking about before. And I think Marshmello, the DJ,
so electronic,
would make a very good pin. Yep. And the reason being is because I think Marshmello has how many subscribers on YouTube? I think like 55 million.
A lot.
Or something like that. Yeah.
And
super popular.
He's in the Fortnite game.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't know how popular he would be with the demographic, but I think on location, if you do it right and you have the music booming, I think it could be high-end potential on location.
Yep.
With something like that.
Yep. Easy topper.
Exactly. Exactly. So that would be like my out in left field one that is actually super popular with a lot of the young crowd that might be able to pull in some people, but I don't know. So just putting that out there. Coming back around to something that's a little bit more traditional, Red Hot Chili Peppers, I think that has to be made. I don't see any way possible that this does not get made. I think it would sell like hotcakes. The music would be great. It has all kinds of just timeless music that's just very, very popular. And I know for sure if somebody made a Red Hot Chili Peppers, we would have to get the LE because it's my wife's favorite band. And I hear it all the time. So something like that, I think it needs to be made. And then my last one, and I'm going to throw you guys a curveball here. I think this would actually be pretty popular. Instead of just one band, I say get a record label and use various artists from that record label. And guess what? You don't have to use just one genre. So the record label I have in mind is Republic Records. And the reason for that is Republic Records has just all kinds of different artists from every genre. Like we're talking, they have The Lonely Island. You guys heard of that? With Andy Samberg, right? Yeah. They have Limp Bizkit. They have Lil Wayne. They have Weezer. They have Post Malone, Kid Cudi. Let's see. What else is there? There's.
So are you saying this is like a you choose what songs you want on
It's
there,
just-
or it's just
yeah,
going to be
yeah.
a total mix?
I think it would be cool. I mean, because they have, well, here's some of the other bands too. Florence and the Machine, Florida Georgia Line. They have Ariana Grande, Godsmack, Drake. I mean, and this is all from the same label.
True.
And so in my head, what I'm thinking is that if you get with a record label and you get various artists, you're able to craft a story in which you're basically the record label itself and you're trying to acquire just the different songs and all that. Basically just form your record or whatever. But it gives you a chance to have different beats. It gives you a chance to go up tempo, to go down tempo, to go loud, to go soft. And I think something like that could really change the way things are. Because I know Guitar Hero or something like that, or a Rock Band would be a pretty popular theme. But obviously, license reasons, that would be very hard to do. So I think the easiest way to go about this, if somebody could just get with a record label and take various artists from there, you could be able to backdoor hip hop. You could be able to have your classic rock. You could be able to have your up tempo pop. You could, really pick and choose how you want to do things.
Why
Mill's
couldn't
dad, go ahead.
why couldn't you do Rock Band? I mean they can
Well,
they can make
the
a
reason being is-
$50 game out of it.
Well, the reason being is because you have to get licensed with several different companies.
I mean, you could call it Rock Band and happen that the license happens to all be that one label, but they probably want. I mean, I see what you're saying, and I know this is literally every time this comes up, but it's when you have these really cool themes, you got to realize this pin is going to be set on location between Mandalorian and like Stranger Things. So you have these crazy themes that everybody knows. So if you have a Republic Records pin, and that's what it's advertised as, that's not going to get the level of play that a Mando is. That's why I understand that Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin and soon to be Rush.
So why couldn't you
go
put
sell
the band's
crazy.
name on the side of it?
So if it said Post Malone,
Why can't it have
maybe?
their picture on it?
Yeah,
If you have the assets,
good point.
No.
why can't it show them on the LCD?
Yeah,
Going back to your point though, Joel, Rush isn't like a super popular band. I mean,
true.
they're popular, but they're
That's
not.
right. They're not Florida Georgia Line. I mean, let's face facts.
But they're not Guns N' Roses fan base or
yeah.
I
don't know. I mean, top 10 bands, like, I was surprised when I looked at that list, like, U2 was there. I don't want a U2 pin, but, like, U2's huge. U2 is huge.
I like U2, but I don't necessarily want a pin after them.
Yeah.
I think out of all of them, the ones that make the most sense is going to be Red Hot Chili Peppers, Daft Punk, Linkin Park, and Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
I think Foo Fighters would make a really great pin
I think
as
it
well.
could. Yeah. And I know my muse is like Tom doesn't know who they are, and I get that, but my whole thing was give me that light show, and if you could get the video assets from Muse and give me that light show, I think you could have a ridiculous pin. But the reality is it's all about name recognition and if Stern's sitting there and they're going, well, which do we want to buy? Do we want to buy Van Halen's license and commit to that? Or do we want to buy Muse? They're going to pick Van Halen all day because they know it's guaranteed sales. But I think you're right. I think what we just listed, Foo Fighters and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Linkin Park, in my mind, that is maybe on the lower end of the age demographic for pinball, but it's the popularity's there, and I think they do really well on location. And Daft Punk, I think, is huge. I'm surprised that nobody, like, you're right. American Pinball, grab a Marshmallow, grab Daft Punk, grab an electronica band, and just go to town. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Well, here's a reason too, and we talked about this a little bit earlier off podcast. Here is a big reason why pinball keeps doing classic rock, and I have it right here in front of me. I think the website's called Statista. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Basically, they collect demographics and everything, and they collect data. And so they went to 3,000 respondents, 16 and over, and this is for favorite music genres among consumers in the United States, right? This is just a couple of years ago. And classic rock itself, 36% of the ages 20 to 24 said that classic rock is their favorite genre. That's not a small number. As much as people think about dad rock, retro stuff is more popular than what people realize. 25 to 34, 44%. So nearly half. 25 to 34, 35 to 44, 46%. And then, of course, once you get to 45, 54, it rockets up to 62%. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that want to hear classic rock. And then when you turn around and you look at hip hop, it is 20 to 24 is 54%, which in all reality is just about 18% higher than the classic rock. But even then, it gets even lower as you go on.
Yeah.
25 to 34 is 42%, 35 to 44 is 33%, and then 45 to 54 is 15%. And so there's a big reason why classic rock works, because it spans across more ages than what people realize. I mean, it goes sub 30. It realistically does.
So with that in mind, then, if we're going to be realistic, what music pins are actually going to come out? And it's going to be Rush and Van Halen, and you'll see that Motley Crue. We're probably going to stick in that, unless a smaller manufacturer wants to take a gamble on something younger, or unless somebody in some board meetings like, all right, let's produce a pin that is purposely focused on a younger demographic. So, but the reality is they're probably going to have better luck if they pursue, if they can go, let's go Marshmallow, or can we get a video game license? Can we do something like that? There's other things that would probably draw on the younger crowd.
I mean, I think Foo Fighters or Red Hot Chili Peppers would be the perfect bands to bridge that gap. I think
old
school classic to modern music.
We know right now that if Stern produces a game, it's everything they're making, the LEs are selling out. So the truth is, are they going to sell more Van Halen machines than they would Foo Fighters? I don't necessarily think that's a guarantee. I mean, Led Zeppelin sold a ton, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't like the Led Zeppelin game. So now they're not selling as much.
The game still has to be good.
The game still has to be good,
regardless of what the theme is. Yeah. It has to be good.
The game still has to be good. And I think we've said this before. I feel bad for whoever's game comes out next because of Godzilla. Godzilla is so good that the next game has to compete with it.
That's already happened, though. Back Danger, Jurassic Park.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's kind of a totally different type of game. I don't know. Well, I think that's a great discussion. Anybody that's listening to this, if you think we're crazy or you agree with us, or if somebody's insulted that I cracked a joke at Dixie Chicks, feel free to email us at tripledrain@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your opinion. I maybe we're onto something or not.
Maybe we missed something.
Maybe we did. Maybe there's a band that you're screaming at your.
Yeah, I mean, Kid Rock, obviously.
Kid Rock, yeah.
I mean, the toppers could have 2 stripper poles on it. You could have pyro coming out of the back.
It'll be great.
Perfect.
I do think you had said this record label pin. Somebody, and I really feel bad, somebody had this conversation on another podcast. It may have been Jesse J, and somebody had thrown out this idea of a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. And at the time, I thought it was silly. But the reality is, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the original game, when it came out, the soundtrack of that game was absurd. It was really, really good. And I think skateboarding, you guys played Radical. Radical's a pretty sweet game. I think skateboarding with the ramps and the things that you could do within a game, to be honest, the more that I've thought about it, the more that I actually think that's a good idea. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, yeah. I just got to throw this out there now that you mentioned Tony Hawk. Do you know I was Tony Hawk's bitch for a day?
What?
Hold on. What? Hold on. Wait.
Not in a sexual way, Travis. Put
so
your
we should
porn
have
down.
known this. Yeah.
Put your porn down.
What? Where's this? Nobody. I'm 37 years old, and I've never heard that sentence ever said in my entire life. I'm truly intrigued.
Starting with, did you know? No, we did not, Tom.
Where I originally grew up, they opened a skate park. And where I worked, I was in charge of making sure Tony Hawk had everything he wanted for the day. So, like, literally, I had to bug this poor guy every 5 minutes. Tony, do you want a soda? Tony, do you want a sandwich? Tony, this guy probably thought I was fucking annoying, but my boss was like, you make sure that he gets everything he wants.
How old were you when this
I
was
was
going
like 16, 18.
And so how old's Tony?
He was probably in his 20s. He had his
That'd be
wife,
early 20s.
His wife was there and his kids. He couldn't be the nicest guy on the frickin' planet.
Yeah.
But he did like chicken sandwiches.
So he's no Dennis Kreisel, but he's nice, is what I'm hearing.
Right.
Oh, okay. This is a transition right here. This just popped in my head. This is a shout out to Raymond Davidson. Raymond Davidson on our Discord posted this, and I don't know what this is from. It's like a clip from a podcast, but he sent it to the Discord. I know we got flack for apparently we have too many sound bites, but I'm going to play this because this is amazing.
Because of Dennis Kreisel.
Because of Dennis Kreisel, and also he who shall not be named. So, but okay, Tom. I mean, not to cut your story short, but that's an incredible story about
fine.
Tony Hawk. But yeah, so here we go. I'm going to play this. Enjoy.
Violent crime rate is low.
Yeah.
She comes in and says, okay, I live in a trailer, this whole thing. First of all, let's tell you who lives in this trailer. Let's start out with that, okay?
Yeah.
It's a trailer in Wyoming. It is Dee Himes, her boyfriend, Dennis David, which that is not a good name.
No.
I do not like that name. Dennis David?
No.
David Dennis would be a much better name than Dennis David. I don't like that name at all.
Dennis as a last name is much better than as a first name.
It's not a good first name. No, but Dennis is like what you named someone who in a movie who you want people to think is an asshole.
Right.
Like Dennis the Menace is because, well, it rhymes with menace, number one. But number two, he's supposed to be like a little shit. He's not supposed to be like a nice guy. Dennis on Always Sunny is supposed to be a dick.
Right.
And his name fits it. It just fits him perfectly.
He's so good at it. That guy's great.
Oh, he's a fucking great actor, Glenn Howard, and he's hilarious. But Dennis is an asshole. You're naming it like he's our asshole character. What do we name him? Dennis.
Yeah.
That's the one. So Dennis is that. So her boyfriend, Dennis David, and also living there.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. Dennis David, first off, way better than the other way around. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but he posted that. And Dennis basically, what was Dennis's response? He's like, I've been fighting against this my whole life, and that's why I try to win people over with my wit and charm or something like that. But shout out, thank you, Raymond, for posting that. And any Dennis listeners, if you agree or disagree, once again, feel free to email us at tripledrain@gmail.com. Yeah, I don't know. I had to include that, but good to know, Tom. So I'm glad that you've been you've served Tony Hawk well, and he probably remembers you because you did such a great job. Yeah. Well, once again, another great transition here. Speaking of memorable, this is easily the most memorable segment of our podcast. I know a lot of people actually fast forward to this. They listen specifically for this segment. It is everybody's favorite segment. It's not Triple Combo. If that's what you're wanting. It is the one, the only Tom Talks.
Tom Talks. He's got something to say. Tom Talks. He's got nothing to say. Tom Talks. Tom Talks.
I got nothing.
All right, Travis, you are you got the prompt. Oh, he has it on a piece of paper, everybody.
Thank you, Joel.
How many parts does it have?
Neil's dad You broke my heart and crushed my dreams at Free Play Florida, thanks to your pick of Cosmos. This past weekend, you played in a tournament at District 82, to where you also broke the heart and crushed the dreams of a 12-year-old. How does that feel?
Feels great.
All right, and that was Tom Talks.
Tom talked. He had something to say. Tom talked. He had nothing to say. Tom talked. Tom talked.
I got nothing.
Incredible. A
Hey,
12-year-old?
That kid was good.
Did he cry?
No.
No.
He was-
I was
He
talking
actually-
about Travis.
He eliminated. Yeah, I did.
Travis did.
I did, definitely.
You know, I have to say that I know everybody watching at home and at District 82 was rooting against me the entire time. I even wanted that frickin' kid to win.
You could have let him,
It's true, I could have.
but
Hey, I was
There
rooting
was
for you, Tom.
IFPA points on the line.
There was a whoppers.
What was the game?
Tommy.
Tommy, not
Tommy.
the Who. Not the Who game.
Not
Definitely
the
not
Who.
the Who
They-
game.
Just the
that
regular
doesn't
Tommy.
count.
Well, what was funny about it on Flintstones, he had an excellent comeback that eliminated Nil, and it made me realize Nil at 17 years old has officially aged out of pinball.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Tom. Hopefully that kid comes back, but that's good for him. 12 years old, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Taking second place at a large. How many people were there? Like 57?
There were 53
53?
people.
Yeah.
And I did end up giving him the translate I won for because
Was it
I was
Elvira?
just trying to be a nice guy. Yeah. Heavy metal. Here you go.
You imagine? Like Tom wins and he's holding up the trophy. Then he has a translate and he
Yeah.
just looks at the kid and he goes, "Here you go, slugger."
Yeah.
And just hands it off to him.
It was Star Wars. It
Oh,
was
okay.
Star Wars translate.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of trophies, geez, these I'm telling you, these transitions, they just happen and you just go with them. We want to make a comment, and this may be somewhat controversial, but coming up is the Twippies. And the Twippies are not, for some people, it's everything. That's what they're shooting for. For others, they don't care at all. What I will tell you is, as creators, they are cool. It is somewhat of a People's Choice Awards, and I know that there are people that have pros and cons against that, and some think they're rigged, and others think they're the best way to show overall whether or not you like it or not. But I will just tell you, it's Twippies. The Twippy voting comes out, I think, in like a week, and there's nominations, so you got to get nominated before you even get voted for. If you feel so inclined, if you have enjoyed the last 10 episodes and you want to continue to put food on Neil's dad's table, feel free to nominate. Do we expect to win? No, absolutely not. Zero chance. But make top 10. That would be pretty cool. I'm not going to complain about that. 10 episodes, top 10. I don't know. Travis, you look like Emperor Palpatine over there with when you put your hood up in your dark room.
I'm just listening to your pitch here. I told you before, I forgot the Twippies was going on until we talked about it. But yes, don't vote for Joel.
No.
Don't vote for Nil's dad.
No.
Vote for me.
Don't vote for Mark. Okay, if you're really, here we go. We could literally fill out your entire Twippy ballot here.
Is this where we play
you're-
the Mark Silk Travis?
No, I replaced it with the Dennis. No, I have it right here. This is your entire Twippy ballot. You ready? Marveloco YouTube, a Pinball podcast, Triple Drain podcast, Just Another Pinball podcast. Actually, just focus on Triple Drain. Fox Cities Pinball for streaming. Just Another Pinball stream. Flipping Out for streaming. Anything? I mean, Travis, that's there. I mean, that's pretty much your whole ballot, and that's ridiculous that the three of us are involved in all that crap.
I'll admit
it may be a little much.
Well, the whole idea of the Twippies and us even being on a ballot is it's weird to me.
Yeah.
But I will say, guys, listeners out there, Joel does work hard. He helps Neil's dad and I get through. Sure, he might be late when we're supposed to, record.
Not
He
that
might
late.
forget what time we're supposed to record. But damn it, when he shows up, he's halfway professional.
ready to
So
go.
yes.
Yep.
Yes, please. No, in all reality, I would be appreciative of it. I think it would be pretty cool. I'll go ahead and say, since Joel's convinced me, I'm all in. Nominate us, send us to the promised land. I hope we get the call up to New York, or where's this held at? Where's the Twippies at?
TPF.
Okay, TPF. Well, even better, because I'll be there and I will be willing to not leave the tournament area for it, but Joel might. Tom, are you going to be at
I don't even know
TPF?
if I'll be there.
Hold on a second. I'm writing an email to my mom to vote for us on the Twippies.
Oh, perfect.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh!
Your
So
mom
neither
and your-
one of you are even going to be there, are
I
you?
don't know. The verdict is still out
I
for
will
me,
not be
but
there.
Okay, so
The
Tom
verdict
won't
is
be
out.
there.
Hey,
And Joel,
I'll tell you
you're
right
not,
now.
You're not even sure.
If I make the ballot, the top 10 ballot, that sure helps my argument on being able to try to get there.
Well, yeah, you'll.
Yeah.
Is it? Are they doing the top 10 podcast? Is that
I
a
have no
thing?
idea. Last
Is there
year,
even 10 pinball podcasts?
yes, there are
available?
definitely more than 10
Is there?
pinball podcasts. But
Yeah, there is.
yeah.
Okay, good, because that would have been awkward
So,
if we were on two of them.
I will
out
say,
of like 4.
feel free to put Triple Drain podcast number 1. And if you really can't think of another one and you just want to give that small ounce of sympathy to somebody who just needs it more than anybody I know, right? Silver Ball Chronicles for number 2. Yeah. But yeah, I don't, it's just throwing it out there. But yeah, do what you want. And believe it or not, if your Twippy votes are needed elsewhere, fine. You can go to Silver Ball Swag and buy us a shirt. That's fine too. You can support us in plenty of other ways, which is cool.
We have merch, don't we?
We do have merch. Travis, you still do not own any of it.
I know.
I need to make you a
I know.
hoodie. That's what I said. I need to make you a hoodie. And we've joked around about making a Patreon. If anybody would actually pay for a Patreon, send us an email, and it'll probably be you and us. It'll be one person.
No, the best way you could go, if you ever did want to actually donate, go to Fox Cities on Twitch or Tom's tournament streams.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess you could go on just another pinball stream when Joel streams whenever he has his games not folded up.
Yeah, we gotta
So there's that.
finish in this basement. Yep,
And
just
then,
donate
that's
it
all-
on
that's all
Tom.
right. Yeah.
Donate it on Tom's stream and just say this is for Joel. And
Tom,
he'll-
Tom actually got. Now, have you even talked about?
I haven't said it
what
publicly,
you mentioned
but yes, I received a donation, a big one, to help out with my stream, which I am going to use for my stream, and buy some new HDMI wireless transmitters.
That's awesome.
So whoever's out there, whoever did that, thank you.
Yeah.
Truly, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's streaming. What you're doing for streaming tournaments is incredible. It's incredible for the hobby, and it's I when I stream, I'm literally just joking around with like 30 people at a time. But every time you're streaming, I mean, there are hundreds of people watching, and these are high end competitive players that want to see high end competitive gameplay, and the fact that somebody was willing to donate money to improve the quality of that for all of us to enjoy is incredible. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we'll just roll right into plugs. I think I literally already plugged us all.
Yeah, I think we're
but
good.
I think we're good.
Giggity.
Perfect. I
I haven't plugged my stuff yet, Joel.
Go for it.
said Marvel Loco, but
Did you?
and yeah, Marvel Loco, a pinball podcast.
It's not it's a.
Debatable. Semantics. Yeah.
Tomato.
If
Yeah.
you do anything else, I could hit your button, but I'm not going.
No. I don't need my button hit anymore
Yeah.
tonight. I appreciate it though.
Okay, perfect.
Nope, I'm good. Nope, you guys can find me on YouTube at Marv Loco, or find me on iTunes or somewhere, or one of the podcatchers for a pinball podcast, or you can see me on Tom's stream every now and again, which is like every few months, or you can find me on just another pinball stream every few months as well, or you can find me on Flipping Out Pinball
Yeah,
stream every few months too. So I get around
you get around.
He's
Yeah, you
savoir
dabble.
faire. He's everywhere.
everywhere.
You're not going to plug Triple Drain while you're at it.
Oh yeah,
last
and
week.
I did plug that, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Tom. Was there anything I left off for you?
No, I'm
No.
good.
Well, cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
if you need to get a hold of me, justinotherpinball@gmail.com, or actually just email tripledrain@gmail.com. And yeah, that's all I've got. Like always, Tom, you got the last word.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you later.